Okay, so for today's tutorial, I am using a Mainstays yarn. This is their basic line. It is in green. And I am going to be using a size I or a 5.5mm crochet hook. This one's a boy. Okay, so you're going to start off, this first method, like I said, involves chaining. And you're going to start off with a slip knot. Pull it close. And for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to chain about 12, but you're going to want to chain the width of your project. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright? And once you get your desired width for your project, you're going to chain an additional 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so this method can get a little fiddly. We're going to enter the fiddle zone. So I'm going to zoom in for you guys a little bit so you can see all the things that I'm talking about. Okay, so we're going to ignore these first 3 stitches on our chain, and we're going to yarn over and go into the 4th chain from our hook. Okay, and we're going to yarn over, but we're not going to pull through. We're going to yarn over. We're going to count 1, 2, skip those, and go into that 3rd chain from our hook. And we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2. 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 And for this stitch, you will always be yarning over and pulling through 2 about 4 times. So make sure you keep that in mind so you can realize if you're messing up or not. Okay, and I'm going to yarn over now, moving on to the next stitch. And I am going to insert my hook not into this diagonal guy right here. This is a no zone. We don't go into that. But the little loop next to it, we yarn over and we insert our hook into that. And we don't yarn over and pull through. We do yarn over, but we don't pull through. We're going to yarn over and we're going to go into the next chain that we have here. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. 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 And so as you can see, each time we create a stitch, it's going to give us these little diagonal bars and these vertical bars. You'll always work into those vertical bars, never the diagonal one. Okay? So I'm going to do another one. Yarn over, going into that vertical bar right there, inserting my hook and yarning over, not pulling through, but putting the head of my hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Okay, and I'm going to continue to work this stitch in silence until the end of my row, and then I'll show you guys how to work up into your rows. Alright, I'm back and I finished my first row, which is really 2 rows, and it looks great. This is of course my front side, I think. Yeah, that's my front side, definitely my front side. So what I'm going to do now is chain up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit, guys. Alright, now that I've chained my 6, I'm gonna turn my work, and again I'm going to yarn over and go into that 4th chain from my hook and yarn over. I'm going to skip those last 2 chains, and I'm not going to go into the base of this chain 6, but the actual first stitch of the row next to it. Just insert my hook as I would normally do. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now this method of working takes a little practice, because it can get a little wonky looking, especially these first stitches. As I zoom in, you can kind of see this gap right here. I don't like that, but we're going to go ahead and go on to the next stitch, yarning over and looking at this diagonal bar. We're going to go into this vertical bar next to it, just as we did in that first row. Yarning over, not pulling through, which is easy to do, and going into that next stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Tongue twister there. Alright, and that's basically the gist of working this. I don't know if I should call it a stitch, guys, or just basically doing this crochet technique. I'm gonna go ahead and work the rest of this row, and you guys can like watch if you like, you know, and stick around. And when I finish this row, we can move on to row 2. I'm sorry, method 2. Alright, coming up on that last stitch, I can say for this method I would recommend putting a border on these just because of how the stitches are worked. They tend to want to wave and wobble. Now when I did my swatch, it didn't do that. My first swatch, should I say, did not do that. But now it is, and I don't like it. And I presume the further you go along with this, you know, the more this is gonna weave in and out. You don't want this. Let me zoom out. You do not want it veering in and veering out. So now I'm going to switch over and show you guys my preferred method for doing this. Alright? So for method 2, this is the chainless, no gap, straight edge method that I have been fiddling around with and that I prefer to do. So now I'm going to still start this off with a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 2. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is slip the head of my crochet hook into that first stitch, or that first chain rather, and I'm just going to single crochet, and I'm going to cinch that close. And this method is called the alternative turning chain. Another tongue twister for me. I'm going to zoom in for you guys. So you have this little single crochet like nugget here, and what this does, it eliminates space. If you work vertically, it eliminates spaces between that starting turning chain and the rest of your stitches, and it just makes it pretty. So I'm gonna slip my head of my hook into this bar that is completely vertical, the one that's to my left, and I'm going to single crochet. Now tension matters. You don't want this too loose, but you don't want it too tight, because you're going to have to work back into it. So I'm going to do this 10 times. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you can see how that's looking. That's perfectly fine. You want it to look like that. How many did I do? Okay, 9 and 10. So this is going to be the overall width of my project here, or my swatch rather. And I'm still going to have those additional 6 stitches, so I'm going to go ahead and do that method 6 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to count 3 of these stitches and skip them. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into this fourth one. Yarn over, not pulling it through, goodness. We're going to yarn over, we're going to skip the next two. So 1, 2, and then we're going to work into that third one. Okay, and we're going to work this stitch as normal. So pull up, pull through, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And there we have our first stitch, looking good. Now the diagonal bar on this one looks a little different for the first one, but it's right here. Right here. And I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook. Yarn over. Insert my hook into the next stitch along. And just work these stitches as I did in the first method. Now the stitches, the bars should look the same after that second stitch of the row, you know. So we're just going to yarn over, insert our hook into that vertical bar, yarn over, work into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So I'm going to work the rest of this row out on camera, and when I get to the end I'll show you guys how to move on up. Alright, so now I have finished this row, and I'm going to move on up to row 2. Okay, so now from here we are going to turn our work, and we're going to insert our hook into that last stitch that we just made, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2. And we're going to do that 5 more times, so we have a total of 6 of these stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now what we're going to do is yarn over, and we're going to work into the 4th one from our hook. So we're skipping the first 3. 1, 2, 3. We're working into that very next one. Not pulling through, but going into the next stitch. And basically doing the same thing that we did in the first row. Okay, and now I'm gonna yarn over, insert my hook into that little funny looking vertical bar, not pulling through but yarning over and going into the next stitch and working this stitch, pulling through 2 4 times. And that's basically the gist of it. I'm going to work through until the end and show you guys the finished product. Alright, and I am now going to chain 1 and bind off. Or fasten off, whichever. Alright, and that is how you crochet 2 rows at once. I hope that my methods today were helpful. If so, go ahead, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe so you never miss out on weekly comment. Leave me a comment down below. What kinds of tutorials would you like to see in the future? Check out my other social media. You can follow me on there as well. And consider donating to the coffee page or checking out my Ravelry pattern shop. And until next time, guys, happy making.